let's get into some shite. Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Out of Tune podcast. This is Rick, and I'm just chatting with you. I'm going to chat for a little while. Listen, let me run this past you. The next several months of my life are going to be really crazy. I won't go into details just yet, but I may be moving. I may be moving away from Atlanta. I may be going north to a state far, far away. It's a personal thing. It's a job transfer kind of thing. And I'm not going to go into all of that. But if you've ever moved, it takes a lot of energy to do that, as you know. And when you're an old guy like me, it's going to take a whole lot of energy. I don't particularly want to move. My wife doesn't want to move. But we find ourselves in this position where we may have to do so. It is yet to be 100% a concrete decision, but it's going that direction. So I don't know what's going to happen. My life is going to kind of be in flux. Is that a word, flux? It's kind of a cool word, isn't it? My life is going to be a little weird for a while. So I'm just going to admit to you that I am not going to be on a podcast schedule. Does that bother you? Is there anyone still listening to this podcast? I don't even know. I'm guessing there's not, but that's okay. I've always said I would do it even if no one listened, and I'm just proving it now. So anyway, this is just me just kind of informing you that my schedule is going to be crazy. I will try to do a weekly podcast. If not, it might be every 2 weeks. I might slide one in every 2 weeks. I'm going to try my best to entertain you and to inform you. I don't even know if I do that anymore. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So this is just a little tiny podcast. It's not going to disrupt your whole life. I know you listen to a million other podcasts. This is a short, little, quick podcast that I appreciate you sliding into your schedule, if in fact you still do that. But if I am going to move, that's just all kinds of new adventures that are going to open up and come to me, which I can share with you. No one wants to move, I feel like. Have you ever been in a situation I know there are situations that you might have been in your life where you want to move away from something. You're in a crappy house, whatever. But no one really enjoys the experience. Few people enjoy the experience of moving. I've always been fascinated by people who own moving companies, where that's what they do every day. They get up every day and move people. There was a 10-year span of my life where I moved every 10 years. No, that's not right. There was a 10-year span of I knew it didn't sound right. There was a 10-year span of my life when I moved 10 times in 10 years. That makes sense. Barely. And I don't know, at that point I was just determined I never wanted to do it again. And so I thought I was in a situation where I wasn't going to, but lo and behold, life makes changes. Life just says, hey, you weren't expecting this. Here's something for you. And then you got to deal with it. So maybe deal with it with me. I don't know. We'll see. My point is, I'm going to try to do regular shows. I just don't know if they're going to fall on regular dates. We'll see. All right. I'll keep you informed. I'm going to tell you a story. I don't know if this is, I'm hoping this is not something that I've told on the podcast before. I told this story in public before. I might have mentioned it on the previous podcast that I was on, This Epic Disaster, but I don't think I've talked about it on this podcast. So, I grew up, well, let's say I was born in the 60s. I don't remember the 60s much because I was a kid, so little kid, young kid, So I don't remember a whole lot about that. I mean, I knew the Beatles existed. I think I'd heard of them, but my parents were not Beatles fans, so they just weren't a part of my house. So I missed that whole thing of the Beatles being on TV. I didn't even know about Woodstock until I was much, much older. I was too young to go through all of that kind of stuff. My parents knew about it. My parents weren't into that kind of stuff. They just didn't really talk about it. It's certainly not something I guess you share, at the time anyway, you shared with your kids. So all of that kind of social change stuff that was happening in entertainment and music, I was totally unaware of. I didn't realize that a lot of the civil rights stuff happened while I was alive. There were water fountains that were white and black water fountains, or as they called it, white and colored water fountain. When I was alive, I can't even believe that. So I grew up during that time in Knoxville, Tennessee, which, you know, I'm sure Knoxville, being in the South, I like to say it's an Appalachian state, not a Southern state, but I'm sure it was a part of what everything was going through. The country, what the country was going through. I do remember being in, I think, 5th grade and hearing about, no, I think I was in 2nd grade, and my 2nd grade teacher said, was talking about the Vietnam War, and my 2nd grade teacher said, one of these days, boys, you're going to have to go to this war. And it scared the crap out of me. Who tells that to 2nd graders? Good heavens. Anyway, so that was kind of the climate that I grew up in as a child. And then my real remembrance of being a kid was in the 70s. And so Vietnam was kind of over. And, you know, there was a lot of variety television, you know, Happy Days, Sonny and Cher. The Captain and Tennille had a variety show. But variety shows were like a big deal. I was talking about this to one of my friends the other day. It's like everybody seemed to have them. Donnie and Marie. So that was at Hollywood Squares were great. All these celebrities, 70 celebrities, I remember even today. So growing up, that was my cultural surroundings, my cultural references. And part of it was the hippies. You know what the hippies are. I mean, if you were at Woodstock, even if you weren't, if you studied it, you know, the hippies. When I was growing up, there was in Knoxville, downtown Knoxville, and it still exists, there's a place called Market Square, or sometimes called Market Square Mall, and it is just a giant square with shops on each side of the square. I don't remember what existed when I was growing up, but now I think there's a lot of restaurants, little boutiques, little gift shops, maybe some galleries, you know, that kind of thing. And it's really pretty. They've got little parks you can walk around, and it's very nice out there. I would say back in the old days, it probably wasn't quite as nice. There's a farmer's market out there. I think that's always been going on. Farmers would set up and sell their vegetables. And when I was a kid, my mother used to take us to the Tennessee Theater to see Disney movies. The Tennessee Theater is a big ornate theater. Most cities have a theater like this, just a big grand spectacle. And we would watch the movies, Disney movies. So I saw all of the old classics at the Tennessee Theater on Gay Street. My mother would take us there. So on one of these adventures, my mother didn't drive, so we had to take the bus. And I don't know how she got to the bus station, but she did. Friends, I guess, maybe. And we were wandering around Market Square one day, either before or after one of the films. And there was a little shop, and we all just kind of wandered in. I guess my mother was just kind of looking for things to do to take her kids, just wandering around little shops. So we go into this one shop, and I don't remember how much. I don't remember anything about it really, except coming out of the shop. I remembered seeing this poster of Jesus, and Jesus was laughing, and I'd never seen that before. Growing up, I never seen anything of Jesus laughing. He was always really serious. But there he was, just looking right at me. I mean, this picture, in some ways it was creepy. He was making eye contact with you. He wasn't just laughing. He was looking at you in the eyes and laughing. And so it gave me kind of a weird feeling. And my mother quickly heard us out of the store. And I found out later that it was a head shop. So you know what a head shop is, where the hippies would buy drug paraphernalia. And hippie culture things, you know, fluorescent, glow-in-the-dark, blacklight posters and incense and all of that good stuff. And so it makes sense. There was a picture of Jesus laughing, a poster of Jesus laughing as we were going out. Well, that image just sort of burned into my head. I never forgot that image. So I think I spent a lot of my life trying to find out where that image came from, what it was, where I could find it. And throughout my life, you know, I thought about it, but I didn't grow up in an era where there was the internet, so you couldn't look things up. So you kind of had to just forget things, you know. It's like, I don't know where that came from. And unless you knew someone who did, you're just not going to find it. You're going to call the library, but most likely that you're not going to find out something like that. When I got into college, I went to a Southern Baptist college outside of in East Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville, and my RA, my resident assistant. Resident, is that it? Resident assistant, I think is what RA stands for. I went into his room one time, and he had there on his bookcase, he had a small picture, and it was the exact picture of Jesus laughing. Exact picture. I just flipped out. I was like, where did you get this? Well, I've been looking for this picture forever. And he said, oh, the religion professor gave that to me. So I immediately went to the religion professor, and I was like, where did you get this? And he said, I don't know. Someone gave it to me. So again, it was kind of a lost cause, but I knew it existed. At that point, I saw it. I knew it existed. And so I kind of got obsessed about it again, and I looked, still couldn't find anything. Well, okay, let's fast forward into let's say the 90s, okay? When the internet finally came into everyone's life, and I got this really, really, our first computer, I think it had a 40 megabyte hard drive. And, but we had internet access. AOL, finally, you could get in touch with people that you didn't know before. And I'd gotten onto, I don't know, some chat group, basically with a lot of hippies. And so I asked, does anybody know what this image is, where this image might have come from? And there was a lot of people who gave feedback on what they thought it could be. Over the course of my life, I looked up like Jesus laughing information, and I've seen a lot of pictures, a lot of illustrations of Jesus laughing, but none of them were the ones that I want. They were all really nice. They were all sweet. They were all looked like pictures that could hang in a church. This looked like a picture that wouldn't be in a church. It was kind of creepy in some ways. So I finally, someone in the chat group came back and said, I think I know what you're talking about. I believe that illustration was in Playboy magazine. And immediately I knew this person knew what they were talking about. It just, like, inside of me, I just thought, that is a Playboy illustration. It just didn't look like a religious illustration. So I knew I was close. And so I started on a journey to try to find out where this illustration came from. Eventually, I connected with someone who told me where it would be. They said, I think that's issue number whatever. And I wrote it all down, and I carried it with me for a while. I didn't have any way to access Playboy magazine. I didn't know how to find Playboys. These are old Playboy. I think it was like 1971. But I had that information now. I knew that somehow I would be able to find it. So let's go fast forward again into the very late 90s. And I was working at the University of Tennessee. The University of Tennessee has a very elaborate library. And when I found out that they had all of the Playboy magazines on microfilm, I decided, well, here's my chance. I can finally find out what this illustration is. So I went to the library. I called up the microfilm. Whoever was working there, I was like, I need this. I felt really creepy, getting Playboy magazine in the library, but it's for research. I'm looking at an illustration. I'm not looking at the pictures, right? Some people look at it, they just want to read the articles. I just want to see the illustrations. So they give me the correct microfilm. I load it up. I'm sitting at the machine. Now the machine is right in the middle of the library. The screen is facing this giant glass window of the hallway where everybody is passing. And here's this dude, me, sitting in a chair, just scrolling through Playboy magazines, all of these naked women, and going past the screen while everybody's looking. And I just know everybody's just like, look at that pervert here in the library, looking at naked women. Is he touching himself? I can't tell, but I bet you he wants to. And I was motivated. I was embarrassed, but I was motivated. I kept scrolling. And I'm getting really self-conscious, and people are walking behind me in the library. I'm feeling really, I'm just feeling like somebody that shouldn't even be in the library. And I come to the correct date. I'm scrolling. I know I'm getting closer. I'm scrolling. And then, boom, right there on my screen is the illustration that I have looked my whole life for. And at that moment, that very moment, that picture of Jesus looking at me in the eye, looking straight into my eye and laughing, I realized he was laughing at me. And in my head, I heard this dialogue of Jesus saying, "Where did you think I would be? You've looked for me in the church for all of these years. You never found me. I would be right here in Playboy magazine with the sinners, with the naked women, with the people that church people would never spend any time with because they would be too embarrassed to be seen here. Where did you think I would be? I'm where I would be all along." And just that image of him laughing at me, like all of these years, this was a joke that had been played on me. It was great. It was wonderful. I loved it. That illustration, now I should have written it down before I did the podcast. I forgot. I'm kind of positive that the illustrator is Fred Berger. Fred, Berger, I think. I'm going to look it up after the podcast, and I am going to post a picture of the illustration on the website, outatune.com. You will see the very illustration that I'm talking about. Man, there's a whole article in it. The illustration was cool, but the article is all about what was happening at the time with the Jesus movement and how Jesus had been kind of like coming into society at the time in a totally different way. So that was kind of cool too. But just that joke that was played on me, one of my favorite Lifetime jokes. I love it. Found out later that Playboy, at the time, their marketing or their merchandising department sold those posters. And so I called and ordered one, and I finally had, I had this really nice poster in my house. It was great. And then one year, a basement flooded, and the poster was being stored in the basement, and it got water damage. It's still great. There's just a little water damage on it, which one day I'm going to get fixed. But I still own it. It's a great illustration. Like I said, I am going to post it on the website. But that is the time when I found Jesus in a place that I didn't expect him to be. I don't know if I'll find Jesus when I move. Who knows? I don't even know where he's hiding anymore. People who claim to represent Jesus nowadays, I don't know. I find out that they don't know what they're talking about. I was reading today somebody, I'm not going to use the language that they used, but basically, let's just say they called it wimpy Christianity. There's not going to be wimpy Christianity anymore. We're going to take over, blah, blah, blah. That kind of militaristic Christianity, I never had tolerance or patience or an attraction to. My remembrance was Jesus saying, "Blessed are the meek," and then I always remember that verse where he says, "I never knew you." To the people who were like, "Wait, hey, didn't we were your buddies, right?" So that's what I'm not going to preach. I'm just saying that's what I recollect, and so I don't know. I don't know that you could even find Jesus anymore. He might be in Playboy, but I don't think he will be in Playboy because I think a lot of the people who follow him read Playboy now. A lot of people who claim to follow him are really into things like Playboy and OnlyFans and things like that. So who knows where he's hiding out in some look. If you run into him, tell him the story. Tell him I said hi. And then let me know where he's hiding out. What's he doing nowadays? Because I don't think he's in the church. I don't know that he's anywhere around today. So that's my opinion. But anyway, I wanted to tell you that story, and I want to say thanks for hanging out with me when you do hang out with me. I try to share a story or two, right? Try to be entertaining if I can. Look, outoftune.com is the website. You can check into things there, and I'm around on Facebook, and I think the podcast is on Threads as well. So just say hi to me if you do listen to the podcast. If you don't listen to the podcast, please don't say that you do. Don't say that you listen to it if you don't listen to it. Hey, that's all I'm going to say for now, and we'll talk next time we talk. That's the best I can get for you, okay? All right. Look for me in the libraries, thumbing through the porn mags. That's where I'll be.